they going to let Trump be president?
Of course. I mean, look, if, they protested him, they called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that, but I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have it.
The iconic picture that was posted on hundreds of different platforms in media, social media, seen by multiple hundreds of millions worldwide, of Donald Trump raising his fist in victory and mostly defiance against those who tried to take him out, and even the powers that be at the top that orchestrated this. A sign of I'm still alive, I'm still here, and I'm still standing. This photo here will go down as one of the most iconic photos in history. And today we're going to talk about some things pertaining to this. You already have the lunatic left on in the media trying to paint the picture in people's mind that this was a setup. Number one, this man doesn't need nothing like this to raise and boost points. He's already winning by a landslide, even though you have those who are trying to say otherwise, when even CNN and the Democrats now are having infighting and division on to replacing Biden with either Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama, or Gavin Newsom, or Gretchen Whitmer. So we're going to get into this today. We're going to talk about the prophet that predicted this down to the T. And we're going to talk about a lot of other things and some things you won't even see. So stay tuned and stick with me. Hey, already, look, I just wanted to show you before we guys get into it. I mean, on the same day this had happened, this incident, this situation has happened, the Hodge twins at officialhodgetwins.com, they've already put out T-shirts, and other people are putting these out. Different things, of course, stuff like this. They use it to sell, but it's a "You Miss Me" Trump T-shirt, and I'm just showing it not to really promote them because I get nothing from it. But they've already, that fast, got a T-shirt out that same day on their website that night. They already put out different ones, and that, so yeah, it's something how fast people get things out on the market, and that's at officialhodgetwins.com. Good evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are at today in the world and what time it is in your neck of the woods. I am back. It's been a long time since I did a video, and I'm very, very busy. There's a lot of things I wanted to cover and deal with, and just things happening in the world today, and also how some things we deal with. If you've been with me for a while, you know the different things I've tried to touch on. But whether you're viewing this on Facebook or on YouTube, I felt necessary need to wait at least a couple of days so I could cover this, because you always have all this information that's out and circulates, and then they find out something else, and then this happens, or so I just wanted to give my little take on it, even though you have like 1,000 different videos and people, YouTubers, give their opinions and show information and details concerning it. So maybe you've seen some of this, maybe you haven't. We're going to talk about the prophet who had predicted this, the more insight on the killer, different things of that nature. And I definitely have to say, regardless if you love the man or hate him, that God definitely intervened and spared President Trump's life, and we should be praying for him. Pray for our leaders, past, present, and future. Pray for them. Again, I know there's a lot of things circulating around, and right now we are in an information battle and information war. So it's very important that we continue to strive to know the truth pertaining to the things that we deal with in this world that we live in, and above all, spiritually, if you're a born again believer. So with that said, let's get into this video. This is on the official Tatum, Brandon Tatum. The officer Tatum put out this right here. It says Trump shooter identified. Breaking: Thomas Matthew Crooks IDs as the suspect who shot at Donald Trump at his PA rally. Crooks was 20 years old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, which was about 40 miles, south of the Butler rally. An AR-15 was reportedly recovered at the scene. Crooks was apparently shot in the head after he tried taking out the former president.
In high school with him.
Same grade.
He graduated the year above me. I graduated at 21, he graduated at 22.
Did he do anything in school? Was he a part of any club or anything that you guys know
I believe
of or
he
anything?
was on the rifle team. My brother was on the rifle team. I actually texted my brother this morning. I didn't have any interaction with him, but he was like a kid that was always alone. He was always bullied every day. He was just an outcast.
Messed up.
Yeah. I mean, he would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, so they're going to see someone like that, and they're going to target him because they think it's funny or whatever, so it's the best way I can describe it. And it's honestly kind of sad. Like, I don't want to say this is what provoked it, but you never know.
And you said he was a loner?
Yeah. I want to say he was a loner more because he was quiet, but like he was just bullied. Like he was bullied so much. He was just made fun of, I guess, for the way he dressed or his appearance.
How did he dress?
Like they were just saying jeans. He'd wear hunting outfits sometimes. He would always wear a mask, even after COVID. He wore a mask.
Is it surprising to hear? Would you ever suspect to think of somebody like that being
I mean,
someone
in Bethel Park, no. It's not something you want to think about. Like, being real is seeing all this is like actually unbelievable. It's so crazy.
Man, it's
It's sad that the kid had did something like that, and I don't know. And we'll get into this later, that this kid was called on by the powers that be to take out Donald Trump, and almost like a JFK style, where he's actually, I used the word just yesterday, but he was the one who's going to bite the bullet. In other words, he was going to be the sacrificial lamb, weaponized by those within the deep state and the intelligence communities, picked and summoned, just like others, like the Las Vegas shooter, who there was no way that the guy in Las Vegas was able to operate from that hotel room. I can't remember which one it was, but it was around on the Hollywood, on the Las Vegas Strip down there where by Circus and all the other big hotels and resorts are. And they said that he carried all these big weapons and ammunition, and busted out a glass window that was so thick that by any natural human means you cannot do so. And they said he acted alone, and all of a sudden he was shooting out of these windows in Las Vegas, and all these people were mysteriously dying, but yet you could see lights going off from the top with lights off, looked like a helicopter, and just looked like gunfire coming from it, just blazing down. But FBI suddenly intervened, was standing behind that sheriff real quick, so he could, the sheriff looked so nervous, so stressed out, like if I say one wrong thing, it's over. Not that he didn't have jurisdiction and can deal with the FBI in that area, but it was just like people in law enforcement, who have any knowledge and awareness knows how over the years corrupted the FBI has became and how they've operated. And so that pressure that he was under, how the story after a few days quietly went away. You didn't hear nothing about it because they always take the killer out. So when they say they're doing an investigation, you hear nothing about it months later, years later, and such and such. And that's, the same thing with this young man. Well, they're opening up an investigation, but are they really? He's already dead, so he can't talk. Dead people don't talk. And anybody else who was behind it who weaponized him to do so, how are you going to catch them? Especially if the investigation is controlled by those who orchestrated it from within. And that's what Dan Bongino said, that, who used to work in Secret Service for years under Bush II administration and Obama administration. And, we're going to see what he has to say later on. And he also said it's an inside job, is from his opinion, from the looks of it. But anyways, it's sad. Also, a person who did pass away is this gentleman right here. Right here, yes, the official, the officer Tatum identified. It has been confirmed by his family that the innocent man who was killed by the Trump shooter has been identified as Corey Comparatori, a former fire chief in Butler County, Pennsylvania. Breaking: Trump rally attendee who was killed by the gunman yesterday has been identified as Corey Comparatori. And so it says the same thing here, but that is him, an innocent man who was just attending a rally and he got shot, and he was an innocent bystander. So please keep him and his family in prayer. This right here is a young man who was on the roof, and he was warned by people warned the officers about him being on there, that he was climbing up the roof, and that he was just positioning himself. The young man who we was talking about, who tried to assassinate President Donald Trump. And so as you listen, check this out.
Dad, where's Seth? Oh my God! Where's Seth? Seth is fucking gone.
Dude, that's exactly why we need fucking Trump here.
And listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes?
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes?
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? This is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, we just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
Just take me back. What were you doing before the shooting happened, and then what did you see and hear?
I was just standing there like everybody else, waiting for Trump. And as Trump started, I noticed two officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seen a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them. And when I turned my back is when the shots started, and then it took me a second or two to figure out exactly what it was. And then it was just getting out of there and helping some other person out with her child, and we got out, and that was the end of that. And I went and left, and that was all.
So it seems to me like either it was one, incompetency, giving them the benefit of the doubt, incompetence on the behalf of the Secret Service, or two, it was an inside job, one or the other. I mean, you can't have it both ways. It was one or the other. So we're going to let Dan Bongino, who's a Secret Service agent, speak to this. But I'm going to show you this real quick. I know President Biden said he spoke with President Trump on the phone, and you know, I have my own opinions and comments, but since I'm kind of leave those to the side right now, and but there's a little meme they have it right here. I will show you this. It says Biden has spoke to Trump via phone, and so they're trying to say this is how the conversation went. I just thought that was funny, but it seems more closer than reality than what people think. But you know, what do you do when you want to keep the attention and everything off of you? You give them now more Secret Service as they requested before, and even now, which he's done, he's given RFK Jr., which was denied Secret Service by Biden. Now he has Secret Service protection and more detail. Or has it in a period now. Ain't that something? Isn't that interesting? When RFK Jr. was almost like close to being taken out, or supposedly taken out too, a couple months ago or so. But before we continue, look what before we continue on with the more serious stuff, look what 50 Cent done did, and he's a big fan of Trump. Let's see this real quick. I tell you. Anyways, so you look at all these different things, and let's before we get further on into all this other stuff, let's see what this prophet had said real quick.
The injuries and the attempt on Trump's life. His name is Brandon Biggs, and we went and sourced the clip. Just in case you're wondering if this is some type of, joke or something. It's not. This was published on March 14th. It's called 3 Prophets Explain America. And this man named Brandon Biggs, who I'd never heard of until today, is going insanely viral for saying this, ladies and gentlemen. A shock to all who have heard it. Listen.
I am not done with America. Amen. He said there's going to be a new wave of patriotism coming out, and that's whenever I saw Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan, and then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on these. They had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation, and it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout throughout America, all throughout, and I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency through great. The Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges.
Okay, hold on. We just have to pause this for just a moment, because this is why everybody's jaws are collapsing, because many said this looked like Donald Trump praying. It says that this man says that a bullet will whiz by Donald Trump's ear and will take off a piece of his ear. Here's that coming true. Are you getting chills yet? Here's Donald Trump on his knees praying. Who knows? He says this is a radical transformation for Donald Trump. He becomes born again in Christ, and then he is almost baptized back up. This is what this prophet is saying. Believe me now? Let's continue to listen.
Through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff, but there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great economy plan, a crash, worse than the Great Depression. And the Lord warned me about this. It would be a great dark time. But I saw paddles coming upon America's soil like a shocking of the soil. And I saw Donald Trump praying in the office of the Oval Office, and he was weeping before the Lord with his hands on his head like this, but he was weeping. And there was ministers and people. I don't know if they were senators or Congress people or whatever. I just saw them pacing and back and forth inside of the White House. I'm sorry, what is the White House? But it's the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were interceding all inside there, and I could feel the presence of the Lord so strong on this. And then I could see that darkness that was the heaviness upon America with the financial crisis of what I saw coming. It started to lift above the trees, and I saw the blue and the things coming back out, and the green times and the good times coming back again. But the Lord said it would be forth a time of a season of a shaking, and it would be a shakening to awaken. And
a shakening to awaken, says this man, this prophet. I mean, I believe in prophets. Again, I do not follow this channel. I've never, I had not up until today heard of this man, and this video is confirmed from 3 months ago, where this man, this prophet, I'll say it, this prophet just straight up confirms everything that we've seen.
So, it's almost easy, as Tucker Carlson said, and we'll play that one more time. All these things they tried to do against President Trump, even before he got into office, everybody loved him. When he ran for president, then, he wasn't on the right side or with the powers that be, so he was labeled X, Y, and Z since he'd been in office. It was always some kind of crap and mess that he had to face and deal with. And, he went down the list even when he decided to run for president again, from all the 3 or 4 indictments. And then beating all of those and, all this other stuff he had to deal with. And then, as Tucker Carlson said, I can only help but to see that we're speeding towards assassination. And, as I played to you in the beginning, so, that's what, it looked like. Let's play that one more time.
Are they going to let Trump be president?
Of course. I mean, look, if, they protested him, they called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back, then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times, and every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that, but I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them, they just can't have it.
So you see, and all of a sudden this happens, and was, if anybody, Tucker predicted it. He's not a prophet, but he's more of a prophet than, in this sense, just saying, by what he said, than some other people. Anybody can say, I predict Donald Trump is going to be assassinated. I predict that people are going to shoot at Donald Trump and blase. But that's almost given. And I saw, I wasn't surprised. I saw that coming. It wasn't a matter of if. For me, it was a matter of when. So me even seeing that, and others could even say, oh, well, get up there and say, I thus declare, say the Lord. And I'm not saying that those who genuinely got it from God, I'm not saying that they didn't get it from God, that, okay, Donald Trump was going to be assassinated, that's it. But when you hear that gentleman on that video who I shared with you come right down to the T of the ear and the description of what you've seen in the pictures, I mean, man, that was spot on prophecy. And so we need to be praying, interceding for President Trump, because the globalist doesn't want anybody who's a nationalist, and again, in other words, someone who loves their country. Globalists are a big conglomeration of socialists, Marxists, communists, those who want one world order, one government, those who love tyranny, those who hate the Constitution, those who hate the Bible. They'll say one thing really meaning the other. They are against anything that's pro-country, but they want a globalization of bills, laws, and compacts, and this is why groups like the United Nations and those entities underneath them, which you have to be careful about mentioning some of their names, because YouTube will try to censor you and take your video down, or come back later and say, we're sorry, you violated some laws that may be hurtful to others, not being able to prove what you said that violated or hurt others, YouTube. So, because they're working with the devil, period. If you're working with these type of groups, you're working with the devil. Let's just call it what it is. So, let's look at what Dan Bongino says. As I say, keep President Trump in prayer. Keep him held up in prayer. And, God spared his life. God is not done with him, and he's not done with this country. And raising his fist. And he was saying, fight, fight, fight. Fight meaning stand up, fight for what's right, fight for your country, fight for truth. Not fight in the way that you've been hearing a lot of people that were against Trump saying fight for the wrong reasons. He was saying fight for America. That's what he meant. So before we go to Dan Bongino, I always hear people on some of these channels, MSNBC and CNN and other channels, they want to say, oh, well, Trump is rallying the troops or the boys or starting violence or calls or blowing the dog whistle and all of this. But who's really blowing the dog whistle? Who has been race baiting and blowing the dog whistle from the beginning? But yet when it's the other way around, this is word called projection. In other words, you like to project onto others what you're actually guilty of, and that's what you see a lot with this new Marxist left-wing Democratic Party. Not to say I'm choosing right or left. It's just, yes, same bird with two different wings, because you got a lot of rhinos on the Republican side who are really no more than glorified Democrats, Republicans who are no more than glorified Democrats, and they're all one, vote the same, all taking big deals, money, all that stuff. So, it's all politics. But listen to what this black man has to say, and he speaks the truth. So get out of your feelings and, embrace truth, man. Embrace truth. Listen to what he has to say.
What do you see? I see a 20-year-old attempted assassin who, when Donald Trump came down the escalator to run for president, was a 13-year-old boy who began to be lied to by the media. Donald Trump, the dictator. Donald Trump, a threat to democracy and life as we know it. Donald Trump, a racist. Donald Trump needs to be terminated. These are the words that were coming out of all those in the media, particularly on the left. The Van Joneses, the Maxine Walters, the Congressional Black Caucus, the Joy Reids, MSNBC, CNN. That's all they've been spewing for 8 years. And the result, you raised the killer. You raised assassins because of your words. Words matter. I call you to repentance in the name of Jesus. I declare and decree right now that spirit lead this nation. Amen.
And I agree that with him in Jesus' name, and I second that. Amen. Because that's exactly what it is. And if we want to take it further than that, you have some people today who are losing it that President Trump hasn't been killed. Praise God, he's alive. But, it would be a sad day even if it was the other way around, no matter who, no matter who it was, because that would just be bad for America in general. Let me show you just that spirit that gentleman was talking about and what fueled that spirit these last 8 years. Let me show you.
Derangement syndrome. We're talking about on steroids. This has now reached such a hysterical level. People are taking to social media to call for Trump's assassination. Most recently, it was a BBC reporter who took to Twitter to write, "If I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered on the basis that he is a threat to America's security." That's David Aronovich. I mean, this is someone that people, obviously mostly in the UK, watch on the BBC and know him to be a household name. And here he is calling for the murder of Donald Trump. He is just one of many. Check out this actress. She's from a show which you may or may not have heard from called Orange is the New Black. It was a pretty big mega series. Millions of people have watched it. And she decided to post this video on her social media calling on Biden to be that assassin.
Joe, you're a reasonable man. You don't want to do this, but here's the reality. This is a war. This is a war now, and we are fighting for our country. And these are going to take it away. They're going to take it away. Joe, you now have the right to take that Trump out. Take him out, Joe. If he was Hitler and this was 1940, you'd take him out. Well, he is Hitler and this is 1940. Take him the out.
Like we needed any further proof that these guys are literally deranged, that they think that it's perfectly acceptable at this point to take themselves on social media, people with millions of viewers, and say, yeah, let's just murder this guy. Then there's the average Joe. I don't even know this fellow's name, but he thought he'd join in the sentiment.
Since they say that a president is immune from prosecution for anything he does officially while he's in office, I think that Joe Biden should officially have Donald Trump killed off and that would solve this problem of him being too stupid to run our country for 4 more years because he's brain dead.
I don't think assassinating a political opponent, random on the internet, is actually going to cover Joe Biden in said immunity, should he in fact take Trump out. We've talked about Trump derangement syndrome for years now, since 2016 to be exact. But now we have people thinking that it's perfectly acceptable.
So again, and this is the problem with TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, is because it's fueled by the spirit of Satan. And for people to act like this, you have the Joy Reids, the Joy Behars, saying that Joy Reid, even if Biden was in a coma, she'll still vote for Biden. And Joy, was it Whoopi Goldberg saying, or maybe we can call her Poopy Goldberg, saying that even if he, paraphrase, pooped his pants, I don't care if he's pooped his pants, I'll still vote for him. And, it's because you got to cater to the powers that be in Hollywood, which now Hollywood pulled out. Now Hollywood has pulled $30 million out. George Clooney is asking him to step down. Obama's trying to convince him to step down. Jill Biden wants to remain the queen of the White House and stay in. They've tried to put Michelle Obama in. Michelle Obama's like, heck no, I don't want that. I don't want that. She don't want it. Or some of you, say the other name. But anyways, Michelle Obama don't want that. Now you have, they're looking at Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or Buttigieg or whoever, all these different people. It's a mess in the Democratic Party right now. It's a civil war, internal civil war right already over in there. So who knows what they're going to try to do, to off their own. Hopefully nothing happens over there, but I tell you, it's all about power and control, and people in high places who give these shots and orders. They'll try to take whoever they need to, be it within their own ranks, which they throw their way their own if they break rank and jump ship with their ideologies. Not so much even their actions, just whatever they say, or if their thought process are different or start to divorce from their thought process. They'll take you out. They'll remove you. They'll come against you. And that's why you saw CNN and all the others. They was like, man, it's time to convince Joe to step down. We love you, but this is too big. This is too big of a situation for us to fail at. And so, let's look at this real quick. You have people like Jack Black looking like Santa Claus at one of his concerts. See, this is that spirit that fuels people like this young killer to go do what they did. Yet they have the nerve to lie and fabricate all these things about, January 6th, which, who's really spewing and fueling the hate? Look at this.
Is at stake? Jack Black answers the call. Make a wish, Canada. Don't miss Trump next time. When democracy is at stake, Jack Black answers the call. Make a wish, Canada. Don't miss Trump next time.
Now, when they say democracy is at stake, number one, they outed Bernie Sanders to give it to Hillary Clinton when he was winning. You want to talk about democracy? You want to talk about arresting and coming against your political opposition like Hugo Chavez did in Venezuela to stay in office all those years until he finally died out, and how you have the president of France over there doing what he's doing, and then even trying to arrest Marie Le Pen, who beat him legally, actually probably beat him the first time she ran, and pretty much I believe with all my heart she won again. But again, when you have control of everything, you know how to rig up stuff. That's how these people like Putin and Justin Trudeau in Canada and Macron in France, they stay in office, and Xi Jinping again and again and again and again, because they arrest. Anytime you hear people that is rising up in the ranks and looks like they're going to beat them, it seems like they always get arrested by Putin by Macron, by Hugo Chavez. He's the one who started all this. Biden doing this stuff, what he's doing with using the DOJ and having top people in the ranks of the DOJ come from their position, top 3 person in DOJ, come and join in on this prosecution of Trump in New York with Alvin Bragg, and ones who are working with the prosecutor in Florida, which that case has been dropped today. All these different things, which is election interference. And we want to talk about democracy. Well, there you go, right there. But look at this.
Be ready to throw a punch. Well, you have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
This way. That's it right there. Pull it up.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
So who's spewing the violence? Who's spewing all the rhetoric? Who's blowing the dog whistles of violence? Who's doing it? Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right? You have this situation right here where you have show you this real quick. All right, Larry Elder put this up, and he was putting Biden in his own words. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Joe Biden 5 days before the assassination attempt on President Trump. And under some comments under that, it was saying this right here, some comments real quick. It says, impeach him. That sounds like inciting an insurrection to me. Knight's Cake Strength says, impeachment due to incitement of violence. Just exactly what they was trying to put on Trump, huh? The other guy down there, Kevin Finley's Fishing, said, could you imagine if a Republican said that? Barbie Durkole says, if the tables were turned, they would have DJT behind bars this morning for terroristic threats and inciting violence. Amen, and that is so true. One American News shows George Stephanopoulos blames Trump and supporters for contributing to violence rhetoric. Now, see how they try to flip it? See, they just can't be neutral. They just can't call it for what it is, but they have to flip it. Classical communistic left strategies. Let's see what they say in some of the comments under this one. All right, he says, his hypocrisy is staggering. Galatia Magia 15 says, when a journalist can't be fair or neutral, they have no business being a journalist. And Someone said he's not a journalist. He's a propagandist, a tool put in a position to spew his left-leaning rhetoric. Somebody underneath that said he is not a journalist. Journalism is dead. They are all treasonous propagandists now. And so, this is what you have today. Breitbart report. Biden told donors it was time to put Trump in the bullseye. Now, that sounds like a dog whistle to me. Now, some of you, probably like me, you didn't know that the Secret Service was under the Department of Homeland Security. We've known for years and years and years and years and years that they existed. But as far as who they were under, we thought maybe they were their own separate entity, which they do, but they fall under the branch of Department of Homeland Security. So they're saying failure and putting it over Mayorkas's big ugly head. It says Mayorkas is in charge of the Secret Service and in charge of securing the border. And, he put a lady in charge who was actually doing this DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff, which is a bunch of garbage, hiring people based on the merit of either race or a female. So they said, we don't have enough females in there. This is what the lady who came from Pepsi was brought in to be the head of the Secret Service. The head of Pepsi being the head of the Secret Service. Probably has no skills in law enforcement or anything whatsoever, but since she headed up Pepsi and she's a female, we need to do this diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's give more women a shot, not based on on whether they have the skills and the ability, but let's just do it based on them being a woman. And she admitted that and said that herself at one time in an earlier interview. And so look at this woman around here, which you're really supposed to, as Dan Bongino, who was a former Secret Service agent, said, you're supposed to dogpile. I'm not saying there's women out there that's not qualified, don't get me wrong, but it's just how they select it on their hiring process with this DEI crap, which is a bunch of nonsense. So you see this woman back here hurdled up, scared, and supposed to be actually dogpiling on the president like these other men. And the other lady back there, she's just standing kind of back but close. And they're all scared and nervous. Then there's another video of them dropping weapons, not holstering weapons correctly, and all this stuff. These women, again, not coming against women. There are some qualified women out there, but again, hiring being based on the fact of being a woman. But let's listen to Dan Bongino finally.
Better than anyone. A man who is as connected to the Secret Service as any person alive, a man who's been a Secret Service agent, and a man who is one of the most honest people that we've ever met. Dan Bongino was on Fox News just a moment ago and exposed everything wrong with this current moment. Let's have a listen.
You're telling me the best technology you have was deployed and you missed a shooter 130 yards? Say it was 200 yards. The Secret Service CS team, Pete, the counter sniper teams, and I'm not sure those two guys are Secret Service. We have to remember that we don't always, when we go to New York sometimes with high-level protectees, we'll use NYPD ESU counter sniper. So I'm not really sure either way, they'd still be briefed in. The question we have to ask is, if that's the best technology we have, and we had a CS team up there with a shooter that, we're trained out to 1,000 yards in the Secret Service with the counter sniper team. How did they miss someone at most, 1/5 of the way there? It doesn't make any sense. And even worse, it's broad daylight on a white roof. So again, open questions here. Was there forward-looking infrared deployed? Was there aerial support, drones, helicopters? Something happened too. If you go back and listen to the audio, I want you to listen to this after I get off here. When Donald Trump, after this tragic thing happens, you'll see the Secret Service agents. And by the way, I know some of those guys personally. It takes a lot to run into bullets, divorcing the security failure. So at least they did that part, correctly, and they knew what they were doing after the security absolutely failed. But you're going to hear something if you listen closely. The guy mentions Hawkeye on the scene. He's talking about those two, the black BDU with the tactical gear CAT element, that two-man CAT element. That stands for Counter Assault Team. That's a Secret Service Special Weapons Team, equivalent to our SWAT. So they're there. They all deployed and did what had to be done after the security failed. But having said that, there was no reason for them to have to do that. There's only one entity out there that saved Donald Trump's life yesterday, and it pains me to tell you guys this. And you know what that is? It's Donald Trump. If he moves his head an inch to the left or right, guys, this is a really different show today. I mean, it's bad enough we have to do this show about this topic. Can you imagine what would have happened if Donald Trump did not duck? And looking at the stage there, I'm speculating, but I'm pretty sure based on experience that the bunting around the front of the stage is probably armor. Donald Trump knew to duck. I mean, most people would. He saved his own life. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. The evacuation did not go right. I mean, the rule with the Secret Service is cover the protectee and evacuate. The other rule is maximum to the protectee, minimum to the problem. Why minimum to the problem? Because you don't know that's the only problem. It could be a distraction. There could be another person in the crowd. So if you don't jump on the protectee, you could be looking at multiple shooters. So at least that part, the guys there, stepped up there. But the failure here is absolutely catastrophic. And I got to tell you, the Secret Service should be very careful. I can tell you and absolutely confirm from the horse's mouth, from multiple people, not just one. And I saw Congressman Waltz text this out before on X. There have been repeated requests to increase the security footprint around not just the residences of Donald Trump, but the body itself. And they have been rebuffed. Like I said, I can tell you actual quotes. The Secret Service directors completely failed and candidly should resign today. Kim Cheadle has failed Donald Trump and honestly failed Joe Biden too. He's the president right now. Where's the DHS secretary? I mean, you're blaming it on manpower? So just to be clear, we're a $4 trillion United States government and we can't fork over enough money to keep our people alive? And then you're sending out tweets like, oh, this is the best technology we have. Really? To let a sniper 150 yards away from the potential next president shoot a piece of his ear off? That's your victory lap? Give me a break, man.
Woo-wee. He set them on fire. And that's what I'm talking about, man. I mean, it's just speaking truth to power and just calling things for what it is, really. I mean, it is what it is. There's no excuse for the poor performance and lack of training that had happened. It's really, really sad. And, it's, they were roasting those women. As videos after videos about them roasting these women and what they were doing. And if you check this. It says, according to all available video of the assassination attempt of President Trump, these Secret Service snipers had eyes on the target for over a minute, maybe more. Yet they let the left-wing assassin crawl into position and fire on Trump. Who gave the stand-down order? These are questions I want to know. Donald Trump says a last millisecond head tilt likely saved his life, as slowed down footage shows the bullet grazing his ear. If Trump hadn't moved his head, the bullet would likely have hit likely have hit the rear of his head, ending his life. Trump says he turned his head to look at the illegal immigration statistics that were on the big screen at his rally. That chart that I was going over saved my life. And so look at the tilt, 5x speed right here, it says here. When he was turning his head, how it clipped his ear right there. Thank God, like Dambagino was saying, he knew how to duck down immediately. And so if he would have stayed in that position, it was just like perfect timing where he turned.
I had to come back because I was gone. I was about to go home. Before we left, somebody sent me this video, and it's a video of apparently the sniper on the roof when Donald Trump was speaking that ended up taking out the person who was trying to attempt to, unalive Donald Trump. And I can't, somebody help me with this video because I can't understand why I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And I'm going to let a couple people get in here real quick so that we can have a conversation about this. But when I look at this video right here, it's shocking to me that nobody took action while Trump is speaking here, and the shooter somehow shot Trump before this guy reacted. I don't know how that's possible, but we got to look at it. It's insane to me. Am I live?
You're live. Everything's fine. You're good.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure it's on. And so I'm going to let a couple people get in because we have to talk about this clip that was sent to me. I was going to go home. I was done.
So let's be praying for this country. Let's be praying for President Trump, and let's just be praying because we know God is not done with America yet, and we just have to be interceding for the heart and soul of this country. We know we are living in the last days, but as long as we have breath, God can still work miracles, and He's still saving souls, and He's saving lives, and it's getting pretty dangerous. And so be safe. God bless you all, and just continue. If you're born again, seek the Lord, man. Get clarity and understanding. And I just want to give my two bits of information in this whole thing. All right. God bless you.